Let's jump right into this explainer on mastering team dynamics. I'm going to be acting as your tutor today, and we're breaking down Chapter 16. My goal? To give you a high-yield, exam-ready masterclass on leading teams. We're going to completely unpack the step-by-step logic behind team dynamics, and more importantly, give you practical ways to actually apply this stuff in the real world. So, whether you're cramming for a major test or you're a manager desperately trying to fix a broken department, you are in exactly the right place. Here is our lesson plan for today. 1. Activating your agency. 2. Defining a team. 3. 5 contributions to success. 4. Types of organizational teams. And 5. Exam prep and application. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Activating your agency. So, before we can even begin to understand how a massive, complex group works, we actually have to zoom way in. We need to establish the mindset of the individual. You literally cannot lead a team or even be an effective part of one if you don't grasp what drives a single person to act. I love how the source material frames this. It compares you to a special agent. Think James Bond, right? You have a license to take purposeful initiative. It's a fantastic metaphor. You aren't just some passive employee waiting for orders to fall from the sky. You are an empowered agent expected to take action. In business, passivity is the enemy of progress. To crush it in any collaborative environment, you have to realize that you hold the authorization to step up, make decisions, and drive things forward.
To put a formal pin in it, agency is defined as the capacity and propensity to take purposeful initiative. It is the absolute opposite of helplessness. Having high agency means you don't just sit around and respond passively to your circumstances. No, you use goal-directed action to control your behavior. Think about it. If a huge systemic problem pops up, a person with high agency doesn't just throw their hands in the air and whine, "Well, nobody told me what to do." They seek meaning, they spot the gap, and they act with pure purpose to fix it. Now, if you're taking an exam, here is a massive pro tip. Lock the phrase goal-directed action into your brain. That is the absolute hallmark of an effective team member. It's that conscious, deliberate choice to move from a state of waiting to a state of doing.
Section 2. Defining a team.
All right, so once you've activated your individual agency and you're geared up to take that goal-directed action, it's time to look at how we apply that incredible drive within a collective group. If you're taking notes right now, star, highlight, or underline the word interdependent. This is the fundamental bedrock reason why teams are even required in a real-world business setting in the first place. Work in modern organizations is practically never done in total isolation. Imagine a software company launching a killer new mobile app. The brilliant engineers writing the code, they can't succeed without the marketing team building hype, and the marketing team has absolutely zero to sell if the quality assurance testers don't make sure the app doesn't immediately crash on launch day. Their work is completely interdependent. One simply cannot succeed without the other. A failure in one department cascades right into the next, and that is exactly why the corporate world runs on teams rather than just a bunch of disconnected lone wolves.
But what exactly makes a team, well, a team? The textbook definition you absolutely need to memorize is this: 2 or more people who interact and coordinate their work toward a goal. You've got to remember that simply existing in a group isn't enough. Think about a group of random strangers standing in an elevator. They're a group, sure, but they are definitely not a team. Now, what happens if that elevator violently shudders and breaks down between floors? If those same strangers suddenly start interacting, talking, and coordinating their efforts to pry the doors open and escape, boom, they have just become a team. Why? Because they are now actively interacting and coordinating toward a shared goal. True teamwork always requires those active, coordinated steps.
Section 3. 5 contributions to success.
Now that we've nailed down what a team is, we need to understand exactly what a team does for a business. Listen up, because this conceptual framework is one of the most highly testable topics in this entire module. There is a step-by-step, direct causal link between bringing a team together and achieving total corporate dominance. It all starts with the distinct contributions a team brings to the table, which then branch out into very specific operational benefits. And ultimately, those operational benefits drive straight toward our final massive goals, creating a true competitive advantage and driving higher organizational performance. So teamwork isn't just some fluffy feel-good HR concept, it is a highly measurable driver of profit and long-term viability. Let's break down those operational benefits in detail because you need to know these. The 5 core contributions are creativity and innovation, improved quality, speed of response, higher productivity and lower costs, and finally, enhanced employee motivation and satisfaction. Let's look at a real-world example to see all 5 of these firing at once. Imagine a global car manufacturing plant that suddenly faces a huge spike in engine defects. Now, instead of the executives just sitting in a boardroom guessing what the problem is, they assemble a specialized team of assembly line workers, structural engineers, and supply chain managers. By working creatively together, they quickly spot a flawed part coming from a specific vendor. Boom! They've instantly improved quality and sped up the response time before more defective cars hit the lot. And you know what else? Because the workers actually solved the problem themselves instead of just getting yelled at, their satisfaction and motivation go way up. Since the assembly line isn't constantly screeching to a halt for broken parts, productivity skyrockets while simultaneously lowering costs. That right there is exactly how those 5 team contributions interlock to create totally tangible, holistic value for a company.
Section 4. Types of organizational teams.
Okay, so we know what teams contribute. Now we need to categorize the specific structures they operate within, because honestly, not all teams are built the same way. To categorize these easily for your test, you need to firmly contrast 2 main types, functional versus cross-functional. A functional team is defined by the formal organizational structure. It is vertical. It follows a very traditional top-down chain of command. Think of a standard corporate accounting department where junior accountants report directly up to senior accountants, who then report up to the CFO. Simple, right? On the flip side, we have cross-functional teams. These act horizontally. They pull members from entirely different functional areas to act as a sort of special-purpose committee. Imagine a company facing an absolute PR nightmare, like a massive product recall. They don't just lean on the PR department. They form a special cross-functional crisis team made up of the head of PR, the lead legal counsel, and maybe the director of HR. They work horizontally across the company's traditional boundaries to solve a specific, incredibly complex problem that affects the entire organization.
And you must always include agile teams as your distinct third category of team structure. The modern business world moves incredibly fast, and agile teams are specifically designed to be highly adaptable, iterative, and quick. Unlike those rigid functional teams, an agile team, which you'll see a lot in tech and software development, might work in quick 2-week sprints. The goal is to constantly test and refine a product based on immediate user feedback. They aren't going to wait a whole year to launch a perfect product. They launch, they learn, and they adapt instantly. Remembering to list agile teams right alongside functional and cross-functional is going to ensure your knowledge of the modern organizational landscape is totally complete. It shows your examiner that you truly get how contemporary businesses actually operate.
Section 5. Exam prep and application.
Let's synthesize everything we've covered today into an actionable step-by-step review, so you are completely prepared to apply this knowledge, whether that's on a final exam or out there in your future career. If you are a manager tasked with solving a major performance issue in your department, this right here is your application playbook. Step 1. Cultivate individual agency. You absolutely must first ensure your people feel empowered with that special agent mindset to take purposeful initiative rather than just acting helpless. Step 2. Establish an interdependent goal. You've got to get those high-agency individuals to actually interact and coordinate. Give them a shared, highly meaningful objective that forces them to rely on one another. And Step 3. Align the team type to the required contribution. Basically, pick the right tool for the job. If you just need steady vertical efficiency, build a functional team. But if you need special purpose innovation or rapid on-the-fly problem solving, you need to build a cross-functional or agile team.
Finally, let's tackle a classic exam scenario. For full marks on a test, or frankly, for maximum impact in a real boardroom, you might face a question exactly like this. How exactly do team contributions create a competitive advantage in a modern organization? Okay, here is your pro tip for crafting the absolute perfect answer. Don't just list a few random facts. You need to tell the full story of the causal framework we explored earlier. You start by explaining that because modern organizational work is inherently interdependent, we fundamentally require teams to function. Then deliberately list out the 5 distinct contributions: creativity, quality, speed, productivity, and satisfaction. And here is the crucial part. Explain that when a properly structured team, whether it's functional, cross-functional, or agile, delivers on those 5 metrics, they directly lower operating costs and massively increase output. This translates directly into higher organizational performance and an unbeatable competitive advantage. You have to trace the exact path from the individual's agency straight through the coordinated team all the way to the company's bottom line. Master that narrative and you've completely mastered Chapter 16. I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. If you had to build a team tomorrow to solve your company's single biggest problem, do you know exactly who you'd empower and what structure you choose? Think about it. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember, keep that agency high.